Over 97% of the world's water is stored in the ocean, leaving less than 3% of fresh water. Here in the United States, we have the world's fourth largest freshwater supply, with roughly 80% residing in the Great Lakes. And unbeknownst to most people, the world's freshwater supplies may be, well, in trouble. Due to unjust and misguided water management practices from international corporations like Nestle's water bottling services, the environment faces some serious consequences. Also, with 2 billion people lacking access to safe, potable drinking water, this issue is quite concerning. Joining us today on WHDT World News is John Devine. He's the former owner of a fish farm in Ontario that drew healthy fish for human consumption, cleaner water, and far less waste than the typical fish farms found around the world because of a system Devine adapted, known as a closed-loop water system. Devine is with us via telephone to discuss how the world's freshwater resources are being abused by inefficient business practices, mainly for major corporations and their bottling services. Welcome to WHGT World News, John.
Hello, how are you doing?
Very good, John. John, your fish farm raised each pound of edible fish by using just a tenth of the fresh water needed on a typical fish farm, saving thousands of gallons of water. How did you achieve this, and why are typical fish farms so wasteful in comparison?
Okay, we went back to the beginning of our project. We went to the University of Guelph in Ontario, and they had a closed system in their lab. And we looked at it, and I had a very wealthy relative who decided to finance the project to build what I call the Fisherman's Cove cold water fisheries venture. The closed system is really unique because you can clean up the discharge before you release it, and you can reuse 90% of the water. The standard in Ontario of the old water in, water out flow-through system, every fish hatchery uses approximately 2,000 gallons per minute. Now, over the years, we've been trying to find out if anybody's been using a closed system with no luck, but we were very successful. We created a new fish farm, and we have saved today 18 billion gallons of clean groundwater in the aquifer by using the closed system versus the government flow-through system.
Now, you say that Nestle gets the royal treatment, paying the people of Canada only $3.71 per million liters of water. That's 1 million liters of water for the price of just 3 or 4 gallons of bottled water at the grocery store. How is that possible?
Well, I blame our Canadian media a lot up here. For some reason, there seems to be a beautiful relationship between the corporate world, big government, and the media, and the little people are left out of the information. But $3.71 per million liters, I mean, it's just incredible to think that we're managing our groundwater in such a ridiculous fashion. I mean, demand is outstripping supply as we speak, let alone giving our water away at such a cheap price. Now I'm suspicious that Nestle's has got into our aquifer through NAFTA. And we would have a hard time buying back through NAFTA because NAFTA protects the corporate world from many parts of the world.
Well, how has Nestle leveraged NAFTA?
Well, if I were to follow the dots here, Nestle's is stationed itself in the U.S. and they do business up in Canada through the U.S. firms, and that would be the gateway to getting into NAFTA. Now, that's going to need a little confirmation, but whether it be through NAFTA or straight from Europe, we have a foreign corporation in Canada buying water at $3.71 per million liters. And it's got to be crazy. Our grandchildren are going to be saying, well, why did you do that?
Now, let's talk about the 3% of the Earth's water. It's fresh water. What are the implications of allowing major corporations like Nestle to consistently drain aquifers for huge water bottling operations?
Well, as I say, the demand is outstripping the supply around the world. There's a sad number of people are dying from not being able to access clean drinking water or any clean fresh water for that matter. So, it makes you wonder whether there's method to the madness here, that if you keep giving it away and deplete the aquifers, the price is going to go right through the roof. It's really mystifying, but it's all happening in front of us, and nobody seems to be able to stop it.
Now, let's talk about the little-known impact of fish farms. What do these statistics imply?
Well, the fish farm and the amount of water we draw out of the aquifers is significant because I guess between 500 and 700 fish hatcheries in North America, and if they're all still using the old closed system, water in, water out, each hatchery is using 2,000 gallons a minute. And it gets into massive numbers. I did a rough survey on the Ogallala, and I'm concerned that there's fish hatcheries in the Ogallala that's drawing it down by 60 million gallons a day. Now, that's unqualified, but again, I can't find anybody to refute my observations because I went on the web and found out how many government hatcheries there were pulling out of the Ogallala and did the math.
Now, where do the solutions lie for salvaging the world's freshwater resources?
Well, reuse and conservation in any way possible. I mean, if you look at the amount of stuff that's going down our toilets because the toilets are inefficient, you name it. But if you go over to the farming community and just pick out fish farming, it's a lot of water per pound of fish. I've put a number out there that it takes 8,000 gallons to raise 1 pound of farm fish, where it only takes 1,799 gallons to raise 1 pound of beef. Now, if you were to plug in the proved technology that we have at Coldwater Fisheries, you should be able to raise 1 pound of farm fish for 800 gallons, which would be half of what it takes to raise a pound of beef.
Now, last question. Should activists opposing the Keystone Pipeline be interested in this topic?
Absolutely, because the guy up here in Canada who enacted this draconian law that destroyed our little bait and tackle shop where this $2.8 million venture started from is Jim Flaherty. He was the Attorney General at the time, and now he's Canada's Finance Minister. And he is negotiating the finances for the XL pipeline. So everybody should be given all the information and let them decide, who has the moral authority here. It seems to me that Flaherty's in a serious conflict, destroying water conservation preservation, and now he's financing a pipeline that endangers the Ogallala. I think, if nothing else, the people who are against the Ogallala should be told of this story and Mr. Flaherty's implications.
All right, that was John Devine. He's the editor of the Worlds Apart newsletter at worlds-apart.ca. Stay tuned for more right here on WHDT.